So first we have to get really, really great about the problem. We have to develop a pretty wide solution set before we narrow in on it. But in doing so, we have to surround ourselves with people that are different, that have different points of view. And we need to deeply listen because it's in that the magic is really going to emerge.
So let me ask you a little bit of a tangential question. So we have a lot of folks who listen to the show because they're trying to drive change in the world. Sometimes it's as simple as, getting their team to operate in a more modern way. Sometimes they're building new companies. For you, what are some of the through lines that you've seen connect effective entrepreneurship and effective kind of innovation across all these different environments, public sector with USAID, startups that you've done, the work that you're doing now? Do you have any thoughts or pieces of wisdom?
I do. And I also do custom programs through Berkeley Exec Ed to do leadership training for some of the most important global companies. So I see it at that stage because, as we said, many of those wouldn't exist if they didn't figure out how to innovate. So I think I would say that there's two lessons that I've learned. One is that when I went back to do this work for the Senate Finance Committee, I'm listening to a podcast and on comes Albert Einstein. And he says, there's really only one difference between everybody else and me. And I thought, well, there's probably more than one difference between you and me, but okay. He said that everybody else spends 90% of the time on the solution, and I spend 90% of the time on the problem.
Yep,
And
that's it.
so I think that whether it's in these corporate meetings or whether it's entrepreneurs or whether it's governments, we first need to spend a heck of a lot more time on defining the root, what is the problem, and ask why, to really get down with the essence of what it is for us to disintermediate or innovate around.
I love that. You fall in love with the problem, right? You open yourself up to the best solutions from everywhere. And I talk about this concept a lot, and I'm embarrassed to say I did not know that was an Einstein quote or an Einstein message that he had written. So I'm going to go dig that up. I'm going to use it on my slides. It's probably, I'm looking behind me. Yeah, literally, it's I've got the book by Uri Levine on the shelf behind me.
Exactly. So I think it's fall in love with the problem. But the second is bring a group of people that have diverse backgrounds. And I don't just mean in ethnicity and in gender. I mean in thinking differently. And it turns out that in my PhD work on discovering narrow-mindedness and how to break it, it's that you have to embrace diversity and dissent. And the emphasis actually on dissent, that if you and I were in a group and one of us disagreed, even if we are wrong, the group decision is better and more nuanced as a result. So first we have to get really, really great about the problem. We have to develop a pretty wide solution set before we narrow in on it. But in doing so, we have to surround ourselves with people that are different, that have different points of view. And we need to deeply listen because it's in that the magic is really going to emerge.
Well, and you said something earlier as we were talking before the show. You said that this turn of phrase, which you also dropped earlier in the discussion, more curious than certain, is such a powerful turn of phrase. And I'm gonna connect the dots with you here. If you embrace diversity, you embrace dissent, and then you are curious about the causes of that dissent. Oh man, how powerful, will your insights be?
Exactly. And because I love to give credit where credit is due, let me just tell everybody this story because it's really stuck with me. I was at dinner with Carmen Rojas, who's the head of the Marguerite Casey Foundation, and they work on extreme poverty in the US. And she was in discussion with somebody who was an anti-vaxxer. and wasn't exactly a position that she embraced. But she said, "Why are you an anti-vaxxer?" And he said, "Because the last time the federal government told me to rely on them, it was that OxyContin was not addictive, and it's ruined my community." And she suggested that, and that's why I borrowed it, to be more curious than certain. And while I still am a big proponent of vaccines, it has always stayed with me to say, ask more questions, be more curious. That's the way we're going to get smarter and more innovative. And it's actually the only way we're going to get smarter and more innovative.